But first, no more raw deals. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, the smart set told us that Trump's tariffs would lead to total disaster.
Frankly, I think the question is mostly how much damage is going to be done. This is like a football team that's trying to run a play in practice without a defense. This is going to hurt our economy before we get to any possible retaliation.
Donald Trump is directly destroying the stock market in bursts of economic policy dementia.
The tariffs do something very effective. I mean, obviously, they create this economic chaos, but they also show what's wrong with the system.
Oh, really? Well, will any of them concede that they were wrong? Well, of course not. But they should, because once again, Donald Trump is running circles around the globalists, racking up trade deal after trade deal, including the biggest to date over the weekend with the EU.
I want to focus on the deal we just made with the European Union, which is the biggest trade deal in history. It's a great deal for both. It brings unity. We didn't need unity, but it brings us even closer together, I think. It's good for both parties.
We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability.
This was unbelievable. Now, after dominating the United States in trade for years, the EU finally sees the light because Trump made it clear he's looking out for America first. So just so you all understand, this is critically important. Here are the terms. Tariffs are raised to 15% on EU imports. Tariffs on EU steel and aluminum stay, this is important, at 50%. There are no tariffs on American exports to the EU, but there will be $750 billion in strategic purchases made by the EU of the United States energy resources, including oil, liquefied natural gas, and nuclear technology. There'll be a $600 billion investment by EU companies in the U.S., a lot of grousing about that today. And the EU is pledging to buy more U.S. military equipment on top of all of that. And there's going to be 0 for 0 tariffs, meaning neither side pays tariffs, on all aircraft and aircraft parts, assorted chemicals, assorted generic drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So think of all the highly pedigreed tools we've been listening to for decades who've insisted that globalization required, and we just had to put up with this, that we submit to a rules-based economic order. How many times did you hear that? So high trade deficits that we suffer from, we're just supposed to be a fact of life. Get used to it. Ditto for the offshoring of our manufacturing. Because tariffs, we were told, would lead to a trade war that would never win. All of that, and I mean all of that, was wrong. Trump is showing the think tank crowd how America should operate on NATO military spending, on the border, and now on trade. The Europeans are finally forced to pay and play fair for access to our markets, which means, of course, they're not happy. National Review's headline says it all. Europeans on the Trump trade deal, he nailed us. The French Prime Minister called the deal a dark day. Oh, très bien. Hungarian President Viktor Orban was fuming at how the EU was represented in the talks, saying it was Donald Trump eating Ursula von der Leyen for breakfast. Journalist David Keating in Belgium was disgusted, saying the EU's trade war surrender follows the humiliating spectacle of NATO leaders genuflecting to Trump. Then a political correspondent in Ireland, Gavin Riley, grumbled, the capitulation narrative on the U.S.-EU deal is correct. But I'm telling you tonight, the truth is, it's not about capitulating. It's kind of fun to say that. But Ursula von der Leyen is smart, and she got the best deal she could with Donald Trump and his team across the table. So let's be clear what happened here. The same European negotiators who ran circles around the American presidents like Bush, Obama, and Biden for years, they finally faced real negotiators in Donald Trump and his team. We had Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, and Jamieson Greer, all sharp, all supremely successful, all experienced. Well, who did Biden have negotiating? Well, Gina Raimondo and Janet Yellen? I mean, Dealing with NATO, we have Vance and Rubio. Who did they have? Tony Blinken. Had to change his depends when he was meeting with the Chinese leaders. And Obama, of course, had Hillary Clinton. So it's a wonder we survived at all with those characters in place. So the deal Trump got, that could have been made years ago, but we didn't have a president who believed in using our $30 trillion GDP as leverage. Remember, we're still the largest economy in the world. China doesn't want us to be, but we still are. And Europe needs to sell us everything from cars to planes to medical equipment to wine to agriculture to survive. Last year, the EU exported more than $605 billion worth of goods to the United States. Think of that amount. But of course, our fantastic economic experts, they insisted that if Trump pushed too hard to force Europe to lower its tariffs or to contribute more to its own defense, that we would irreparably harm our historic alliance.
The president has launched an all-out trade war with the entire world, not just adversaries like China, but with our allies throughout the world.
Either he's a bully and he's using the tariffs as a cudgel, or he's a buffoon.
We're just all at the mercy of an administration with no coherent trade or economic policy that thinks it can bully its way to prosperity. In reality, these tariffs are just creating uncertainty for our allies abroad.
I'm going to go off script for a moment. Think about all these people. None of them have ever been elected to anything. And then you have Donald Trump, who's not only been elected once, he's been elected a second time. And they tried to put him in jail, tried to take him off the ticket. And he's showing everyone how to do it. And they're blathering on like they know anything about economics or they know anything about international trade. All of them should go into different lines of work because they know nothing. And you know things are changing, though, when Bill Maher is a voice of reason and integrity, because he admits when he actually was led astray by the experts.
I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to sink this economy by this time, and they didn't.
Honesty. This is why, by the way, he's not getting canceled, Stephen. Now, on mass immigration, it's undeniable that Europe is being slowly overrun by foreign cultures that are hostile, and I mean very hostile, to the West. It is a total nightmare that has spread from Greece to Sweden to France to the UK and all abroad. And Trump, he decided to take it all head on.
On immigration, you better get your act together, or you're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. And we, as you know, last month we had nobody entering our country, nobody. Shut it down. And we took out a lot of bad people that got there with Biden. Biden was a total stiff. And what he allowed to happen, but you're allowing it to happen to your countries. And you got to stop this horrible invasion that's happening to Europe. But stop this immigration is killing Europe.
He wants to help save Europe. So he's actually being frank, respectful, polite, and unabashedly America first. That is what we want in an American president, and that's what we have with Trump. And by the way, he also offered some basic political advice to Starmer, who's facing a real challenge from Nigel Farage's Reform Party.
Politics is pretty simple. Whoever does these things, but low taxes, keep us safe, keep us out of wars, no crime, stop the crime. And in your case, a big immigration component. I think the one that's toughest and most competent on immigration is going to win the election.
Well, Donald Trump has dominated the political scene in the United States for a decade. We're the richest and freest country in the world. And that's no accident that he's dominated the landscape, because President Trump knows things about politics, about economics, about foreign relations, about how to build a middle class and how to use leverage that his opponents in the establishment simply do not understand. And by the way, he knows people better as well. And I'm glad, by the way, he golfs when he can, because he's also someone who has worked harder than any politician I have ever known. And I've known a lot of them. So for years, the rest of the world, I think they wondered, right, why so many of us wanted to have President Trump representing our interests on the world stage. Why do they like Trump so much? But now, after this weekend, maybe they're finally starting to get it. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.